Imagine you live in the village of Le Poudre in Italy during the mid-1800s and you hear about a wedding that's about to happen, but the town's most important family is strongly opposing it. However, the contested union is not the most interesting thing about this family, because one day, one of their daughters will become well known for her spiritual sensitivity and the youngest founder of a religious order. Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of the Sanctified Podcast, the show where we explore the stories of various saints throughout history, learn about what they did, and how we came to recognize them as saints today. Today, we're going to check out Saint Clelia Barbieri. Clelia Barbieri had an unliking beginning because her parents, Giuseppe Barbieri and Giacinta Nanetti, were of two very opposite upbringings. Her father was from the poorest family of the town, but her mother was the daughter of the most important and well-off family of the village. Their union was very much opposed by Giacinta's family. However, the couple fought for their love and they got married. With this union, Giacinta gave up her wealthy lifestyle to live the poorer life of a laborer. But their love was built on devotion to God, and it brought them two beautiful daughters. Their first was Clelia. Clelia was born February 13th, 1847 in San Giovanni Perseceto in Bologna. Her mother made loving God a priority in the lessons that she taught to Clelia, and among them, teaching her how to sew, spin, and weave hemp. In 1855, her father died of cholera during an epidemic. Clelia was just 8 years old at the time, but she used her skills of sewing and weaving to contribute to the household and support her siblings. She also began to devote herself more and more to prayer and learning her catechism. Her devotion was so evident that even though First Communion was typically received around adulthood at that time, Clelia made hers on June 17th, 1858. She was just 11 years old. Now, today that's not that crazy, but back then, that was exceptionally uncommon. After receiving her First Communion, Clelia started having mystical experiences, including a strong repentance for her own sins and those of the world. She would undergo anguish and suffering as penitence for the sins that crucified Jesus. One such penance Clelia practiced was wearing a penitential chain with spikes that she wrapped around her body 3 times. That's pretty intense. Her dedication to catechism and exploring her faith helped prepare Clelia to join the Christian Doctrine Workers, a group of young teachers founded by her parish priest. Though starting as an assistant, Clelia's obvious knowledge quickly moved her further up the ladder. When she was just 15 years old, she taught children catechism and ran a school where students were only a few years younger than herself. However, men and women would eventually attend her classes alongside their children, so she was teaching people her parents' age, not just kids. Clelia was very well known in the town, and she was also said to be very beautiful, so it's really no surprise that she had multiple marriage proposals. However, having given herself to Jesus, she refused every single one of them. In fact, she was encouraged by her parish priest, Father Guidi, to take vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience privately. Having dedicated her life to Jesus and taking these vows, she prayed to God for a spiritual friend who would help her to live a virtuous life fraternally together. This prayer would be answered as a group of young ladies with similar religious ideals came and joined the catechism group, and they wanted to create a community focused on an apostolic and contemplative living, serving by teaching catechism to farmers and laborers of the area, as well as sewing, helping the sick, and providing charitable help to anybody in need. They would be known as the Little Sisters of the Mother of Sorrows. Though the group was secular during her life, Clelia wanted there to be no need for a dowry to join the community, so anybody would be able to join. As the community was being officially founded, she got sick. It was discovered that she had tuberculosis. She would die of this illness, though, even saying to her family and friends that called for a priest to perform her last sacraments, "Why are you weeping? Don't be afraid. The Lord will not take me away this time. He is still expecting more from me." It's not exactly clear if God actually revealed that to her in a vision or if she just knew it in her soul, but she was right. The religious house for her community was officially opened May 1st, 1868. The girls all wore gray dresses and spent their days praying, reading spiritual works, and working. However, unusual occurrences began to happen. For example, when there was no food in the community, Clelia led them to pray, and the doorbell rang soon after with a gift of food for the community. And that wasn't going to be the only time that happened either. Clelia, who is now seen as the leader of the community and often referred to as Mother due to her maturity and strength in her faith, even though she was just 22, chose for St. Francis of Paola to be the patron saint of the community, because he started an order similar to Clelia's in the 15th century. Praying for his intercession resulted in multiple instances where bread, flour, wine, and other staples just magically, miraculously, made their way to the community. Clelia showed other mystical favors given to her, such as when she received apples from a mother of someone in the community. Clelia split the apples into 3 groups and said, "I will keep these you picked in your orchard and those you found on the ground, but I cannot accept this 3rd group because you did not come by them honestly." And guess what? She somehow knew that the woman had taken a 3rd of the apples from someone else's property, so she stole the fruit from someone else's land. Another example of her gifts from God is that she was able to heal many people using oil from a lamp that sat in front of St. Francis of Paola. Clelia also prophesied the future of the community. When she spoke of the growth of the community and a new house being built for them in a nearby field, nobody really knew if it was going to come true. But she did, though she did also tell them that she would no longer be with them when that was finished. And it did come to be true, as Clelia died of tuberculosis July 30th, 1870. She was just 23 years old. Tuberculosis eventually did kill her, but not when she caught it 2 years before. Her last words were, "Be brave, because I'm going to paradise, but I shall always remain with you too. I shall never abandon you." And this also proved to be another prophecy, because Clelia would use her voice to prove that she was still with her sisters. The first time this miraculous phenomenon took place was July 13th, 1871, exactly 1 year after her death. While the sisters were praying in the chapel, they heard Clelia's heavenly voice join them in prayer and song. The voice caused so much emotion in the sisters that they decided to move to a nearby church for adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. The voice followed them there too. Clelia sang solo and harmonized with the sisters, praying with them until dawn. Though the first occurrence happened on the 1-year anniversary of her death, St. Clelia's voice has been heard in the houses of the order many times in the years after her death, and it's still happening today. It's heard joining and singing hymns, reading religious texts, and in conversations, as well as during the celebration of Holy Mass accompanying the priest. Additionally, it is done in different languages depending on where the missions are. That's clearly the fulfillment of her promise made on her deathbed to her companions of how she's always going to be with them. She may be in heaven, but she'll always be with them. There are many witnesses, including her original companions and other superiors and sisters of the order, priests, bishops, cardinals, laity, and even unbelievers have given testimony to having heard her voice, even before the ecclesiastical tribunals. This, along with 2 miracles that were attributed to her intercession, led to Clelia's beatification on October 27th, 1968, and a 3rd miracle was studied and approved in February 1989, leading to her canonization by Pope John Paul II on April 9th, 1989. And despite her miracles being pretty recent, it's surprisingly difficult to find details on what they were. Now, obviously, there's the miracles of food magically appearing before them or being brought to them when they needed it most, and her voice. But there's a few other medical miracles that are attributed to her, but again, the details are lacking, sadly. I did find one that may be true. It's the only reference I can find to her medical healings, so if you know better, let me know if it is true or not. But the healing of Dr. Pedro de Oliveira Filho was reportedly one of her miracles that was used to get her to be beatified. In the 1950s in Brazil, Dr. Oliveira Filho was suffering from a very severe and fatal Landry-Guillain-Barré syndrome, and he was completely paralyzed. He was pretty much given up that he would be able to survive. The doctors said that there was just no chance he wasn't going to survive that night. His family and his religious sister prayed very intensely for Mother Clelia's intercession, and his sister even placed a thread from Mother Clelia's habit into a small cup of water and told him to drink it. The following morning, he was totally healed. Saint Clelia Barbieri's feast day is July 13th. She's a patron saint of catechists, people ridiculed for their piety, and the poor and sick. And if you're aware of her other medical miracles, please let me know in the comments below, and I can add them on at some point. But if you have any other questions, let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. What do you think of Saint Clelia Barbieri? What about her voice echoing through the halls after her death? I would be amazed if anybody has actually heard it themselves, and if you have, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to get your story. I hope you found her story interesting, and I look forward to learning your thoughts on Saint Clelia Barbieri. Thanks for listening, and And thank you again to Jeffrey Chavez for recommending that I look into Clelia, another great saint that I hadn't heard about before. If you'd like to support the channel, you can subscribe, download the episode, like, comment, share with your friends, or send me a suggestion on a saint to check out by emailing me at sanctifiedpodcast@proton.me. You can find the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Podbean, and more. I upload once a week, every Thursday. And I'm also starting up a few accounts on Instagram, Facebook, and X. I'll put the links below if you're interested in checking them out. Take care, and have a wonderful day.